Okay, there's been several that have asked how I made my track that you've seen in the stop motion. So this video will explain not only how I made the track, but also the grandstand. What we got here is your standard 22-inch by 28-inch piece of poster board, and what we got here, as I'll zoom in, this will be the track, which we'll do first, and then here is our mock grandstand, which we'll do second. So first, let's start here with the track. How I basically made it, as you see here, that's how it started. I just took white poster board to start and just sketched out how I wanted it to be. So we have a 3-inch wide racing surface with a 2-inch apron, and then right down here we're going to have our 1/2-inch rumble strips. So now we're going to, for our next step, we're going to get some tracing paper, and now we're just going to put the tracing paper on top of this and just basically trace. Alright, we have our tracing paper now over our area. You can hold it down with tape if you choose. I like to put heavy objects to hold the tracing paper down, so when you peel the tracing paper off from the poster board, you're not ripping it up. So what we're going to do here is just basically, like you're in first grade and just trace the lines. And you'll just do this until the piece that you have is done. So here now we have our finished piece on the tracing paper. Now, as you're tracing along, once you draw lines, you just want to measure it up and just see if it's good. As we said, we got the 2-inch apron. And it's a little hard to tell with the lighting, but it's pretty spot on with 2. And the 3-inch wide track, I'd say that's pretty spot on. And you just want to just measure it and just double check it at several different places. For time reasons, I'm just going to pick 2 spots. So it's a little hard to tell again. But between the apron and the actual track surface, that's pretty spot on. So you just want to just double check and make sure that everything lines up. Now I know for this demonstration piece I drew it all the way to the edge, I guess, since it was a straight edge. I would recommend you leave at least, I'd say at least a 1/2 inch, if not 3/4, or even more even 1 inch from the edge here to the poster board in, so that gives you a little bit of tolerance, so you can actually measure off this to draw a straight line. It's all personal preference of what you want to do. So now we've got the tracing paper right here. Now next up we're going to apply it to the black poster board. So that's what you're going to see now. Alright, we have our tracing paper now mounted on to the black poster board. You can tape it down. So our next step is now we're going to put basically indentations into the poster board. So you're going to just want to press down really hard on the poster board, but not too hard where you put a hole in it. And you'll just go, I'd say, just every little bit or so, and just put an indentation. And what I'll say right now is that this is pretty time consuming, especially when you got 7-8 pieces to do. So if you have patience, then good for you, because this is pretty much meant for you. And I'll just continue to do this until I'm done. Alright, so now after all this work, this is what we got. So you just want to go every little bit and just make indentations. Once I rip it off, we're going to see what it looks like underneath. Now it's also very careful, in case you do have to use this piece over, if you do mess up, to be very gentle in taking this off. So I'll just fold this back, and now you get the idea. And then once I peel this whole thing off, then we shall continue. Now you just have to look pretty close, but you can see the indentations. And as I get higher along, that would be the rumble strips, and then the other end. Now what I'm going to do next is take a white colored pencil and a ruler and just draw along these lines. Also keeping in mind that as long as it's within a 1/16 of an inch, I'll be happy with it. So we'll see where we are then once I'm done with that. Now I've gone ahead and just drawn a very faint white box around where it's going to be cut out. Now the indentation, we're going to see how this lines up, keeping in mind that the track is 3 inches and the apron is 2. So putting it on the edge, once again the glare sort of stinks. You can just see by this little section right there, it's pretty spot on. I'll move it up now, and we'll look at this again. And once again, it's pretty much spot on. And you can just check it over again and just make sure that everything still lines up. What I'm going to do next now is this area down here, I'm going to darken this in more with the white colored pencil. Same deal up here with the rumble strips. So now we have our colored pencil line darkened in, which separates the apron from the track, and our rumble strips. And I probably should have used a better color combination than red and green, but I figured since it's the Christmas season I would use that. Next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut this out, and then this will be rubber cemented onto what I started off with. Alright, we got our cutout. Now we just have to rubber cement it. And something that I've learned, rubber cement is your best friend, because if you mess up, it's so easy to take off versus tape, which almost will guarantee a ruined product. So what I'm going to do is just slap some rubber cement on, and hopefully I didn't put too much down, and just spread it. And if you're not within your realm of area when you spread it around, it's okay. Once it dries up after a couple minutes, it just peels right off, and that's also very good. So I suggest rubber cement. Then, you know, that's just my personal opinion. Now we're going to line up our edges, and especially this line here. This is our 3-inch line, which will be here. And now you just piece it together and line everything up within the lines. And now, once you do that, you sort of just want to put pressure down on the piece and just give it a couple minutes to dry. So here we have our finished product. As you can see, it's way too black here because I put way too much rubber cement on. That's how it should look when you put enough rubber cement on. It looks perfect. Otherwise, I would say this looks pretty good. And for rubber cement, as your example, any spot that dries, just rub it and it'll just peel right off. Much better than using tape, but that's just personal preference.